Episode 2.
Episode 2, same two knuckleheads.
Yeah. So, Matt Vann, this is the Vann Cave with Lemmy Kilmister over here of Motorhead.
When I set my microphone like this, for those of you who are watching on the YouTube side, it improves my posture. It makes me sit up straighter when I do this.
I don't give a shit anymore, dude. My back is so shot out.
Yeah.
So, dude, I had to tell you a story what happened to me today. So I had to testify in court. And this is the first time I've testified since like all the cancer drama that started this summer. So I've done like shitload of chemo, and chemo brain is horrible. And it was on a case I worked 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's hard to explain. And so I was all worried about my memory. I read the case, and the judge, he's a likable guy. I think the world of him. Doesn't live far away. The attorney, prosecuting attorney, is a friend of mine. Defense attorney is an absolute angel of a person. Now, all these people are doing their jobs. It's not like there's any back scratching going on. They will all tear me apart at the first sign of error. But I'm saying is these are all, if I had to go back and do this, these people would all understand. So I was all worried about that, and I read over the case, and I got everything good. They called me on the stand, and they asked me, I suddenly remembered everything, after I went over it about the third time. And they asked me the first question. I had to look at my report, and I did not have reading glasses.
Oh.
So I'm going, huh. And it's this tiny print and all that. And the defense side says, may I approach the bench? And it's Mark Detman, if anybody knows him. He's a chaplain, super Christian guy, great dude. These horn-rimmed, like fire engine red readers.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was grooving on that. So cheers to getting old, man.
Yeah, it happens.
So we have not published episode 1. These are all going to kind of come out at the same time. Yeah. Sort of, kind of, maybe. I don't know. YouTube, you can't even find my channel until I publish 3 videos. So this is the 3rd video. So I shot a little cheesy intro video just playing with my editor. It's kind of cool. I don't know, have you seen it? It's terrible.
No.
It's terrible, but the soundtrack on it was actually, I woke up one morning with kind of a sound in my head and recorded some stuff on the bass, and that's the background music, and it's pan shots of the Vann Cave, and kind of the purpose of the channel. Just a 1-minute thing, mainly for the audio side. I needed to get something uploaded to sort of placehold the audio hosting. So after this one, we're going live. Nice. As soon as this gets done. But so we and you screwed my whole system up at the end of the last one. You mentioned the mystery lights.
Yeah, the strange atmospheric anomalies we experienced here in West Texas.
Completely, I had to like write new notes and all that stuff. But yeah, so the mystery lights, man. And the way any good astronomy story starts off, I'm in my house. What day was it? January 8th?
You got me.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was this month, in January.
It was this month. I don't even remember what I was doing. And I got a call from Mark Hawkes, and I'll tag him in this. Don't let me forget. Mark and I have been friends, cops together for a long time. And Mark's like, dude, what's going on in the sky? And being an amateur astronomer who gets a lot of calls like that, I am not shitting on anyone. I'm just saying I have made these calls to, when I was new to astronomy, and other people do. Never feel bad about it. But he's like, there's some weird shit going on in the sky. And I'm like, it's Venus. Yeah, it's Venus, dude.
That's the amateur astronomer's blanket response to anybody who says there's something weird in the sky. Yeah, what is it? It's Venus, dude.
Yeah, if you point your new telescope at Venus, especially if you have a Newtonian and it's defocused, it will look like an effing spaceship. It will freak you out.
All kinds of color shifting, and it's really cool to look at. It looks like
kind of like a Simon Says.
Yeah,
if you're defocused with the spider and all that stuff, this is all geek stuff. Anyway, and he told me what part of the sky he was seeing it in, which I don't even remember. And I walked outside, and I had no idea what I was looking at. It was these streaks, 15, 20 degrees. varying colors. I saw 4 from where I was.
What was magnitude?
Man, I'm terrible at that.
Ballpark it.
Between a super bright moon and, well, I'll take that back. My first thought, I can't put a number on it because it looked like it was like a moon peeking through a cloud.
Okay.
Which, if there was only one object, I would say that's a moon peeking through the clouds. Go home. Except the moon wasn't there.
Yeah.
And the only reason I knew that was I had already looked at my astronomy software, and I was not going to my observatory because of the moon phase and weather and all that stuff. So I kind of knew that's not where the moon is.
Right.
Wasn't even up yet, I don't think. Anyway. And so brighter than Venus, not quite, maybe new moon, somewhere in there.
Okay. But how many?
I saw 4 at first.
These 4 anomalies of light that were in sort of columns of light.
Columns of light. They're streaks. So there's these bands. And what was really weird is they were different colors.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it, and the weather is all I can describe is the weather was weird. It was cold. There was kind of a weird low cloud base, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to get into, and I don't completely understand the entire phenomena, but it was just kind of a weird weather situation. And I looked at it, and I'm sitting here holding the phone, and it was like a movie clip where I'm going, I have no idea what I'm looking at, bro. I'm going to have to call you back. And I hung up the phone, and I have no idea what I'm going to do now. So
take some pictures.
Yeah, and then I got like 3 more texts. Dude, what's going on? And so I looked at it, and I had heard a word for these things, and I could not remember it. It's not a sundog. It's not, all these different things I'm thinking of. And so I get on Facebook. I shot a picture with my phone, put it up on Facebook. And immediately people were coming back saying Noah's calling it an atmospheric inversion. And I'm thinking, well, okay. I've seen those. My grandmother was super into those. She'd seen a couple. And so I ran in and grabbed my camera, really nice DSLR that I used on my observatory. Well, because I'd used it on my observatory, it is completely set up for not taking pictures.
It not correctly configured for normal picture taking. Yeah.
So typical, this is one of the reasons I hate getting into astronomy is it's always in the dark, your batteries are dead, and you're fumbling. Anyway, and I get this crappy tripod, why I have not bought a better one. It's this rickety piece of shit. And I put the camera on it, and I jack with it, and I finally get the camera running. And I first thing I did was open the shutter for 25 seconds, just because that's what it was on before. And I got, I don't know, a dozen of these things in a single frame, all different colors.
Yeah.
And they were beautiful.
Yeah, you did a really good job having to scramble quickly and get those photos. They looked really good on social media. So yeah, the I had never seen those ever. I missed them that night. I can't remember. I think I was probably at the brewery working late that night or something. I don't know what was going on.
You were conspicuously absent from my social media world.
Which is kind of unusual. So I was busy doing something. I missed the entire celestial event.
Oh wow.
But my understanding also, since I have gone to study it, there's not a lot about it in the astronomy circles, the amateur astronomy circles that we sometimes hang out in. But my understanding, based on what I research, is that it was basically a refraction of light that was happening on the ground that was inverted in the atmosphere and reflected back down almost prismatically.
Yeah, I'll pass on something that I found on YouTube from a Canadian.
Okay. Yeah, they have a lot of weird lights in the sky up there.
Spectacular ones. So if you imagine, imagine a low cloud-based day. Okay, so you get up and the clouds are 400 or 500 feet off the ground, and we have what this was for you non-West Texans. We have flares. There's
gas flares.
Yeah, it's natural gas from oil wells that can't be captured for one reason or another. I don't understand all of it. And they just burn it.
They flare it off into the atmosphere. It's a natural gas most of the time. And so it burns very, very clean. There's no smoke or anything, but all you see is
it's bright.
Bright flare. And out here the land is as flat as a dime, and you can see those flares for miles.
Yeah. And so when you've got this flat cloud base over flat land, you'll see it will light up the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's happened in between that is a rapid cooling to the point there are, I guess, ice crystals, not snow, because nothing was falling out of the sky. It was kind of damp feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so rather than just reflected against the clouds, it is prismatically, like you said, being shot out.
Off of these little tiny semi-ice crystals.
So you're seeing these poltergeist-looking columns, and they were called light pillars.
Okay.
And so what's really strange about it is they're not like over the top of your head. They're all 20-ish degrees. I had no way to measure it. Like I said, I have a cheesy tripod and my camera, which is covered in dirt because I dropped it and all that. So what was cool, now I looked at some local media. In fact, I sent it, I can't remember why, one of the news channels shot them a picture. And I thought, this has to be, I'm going to fire off some arrogance here. This has to be the best picture anybody's taken. Hell no. Some dude had already shot a better one, man. It's got like 1 million of them.
Don't you hate it when you think you do something approaching good astrophotography and then you compare it to guys who really know how to do it and you go, damn it.
Yeah, it's crap, man. But it was a good picture. And then I started getting calls a couple of days later to say, hey, channel so-and-so used it. Well, I threw it out on social media and I marked it public so anybody can have it. So it was actually, I guess good enough to make the news a couple times. So, but you saw this part, I did not, but apparently weirdness ensued.
Oh, yeah. So they did a follow-up story on it the next day, and it actually reminded me of a newspaper article I saw when I was 8 or 9 years old in 1979, or it was either 79 or 80. Here, the Midland Reporter-Telegram ran a story a day or two after the northern lights were visible here.
Oh, yeah.
And the headline was, "Strange lights in sky last night were not the second coming. Don't worry, you didn't get left behind," or something like that. So they went out and they asked the average Joe West Texas person on the street what they thought those things were. And oh my gosh,
wow,
the theories, the postulates, the overall idea of the stuff that people thought was plausible, stuff it could be, was embarrassing to watch.
What was it?
Stuff like, quasi-alien, ancient alien references, spiritual things, stuff to do with the paranormal. I mean, everybody immediately wants to go there.
Yeah.
Anytime they see something out of the ordinary, they want to go there. And I'm not making judgments against things that are spiritual or paranormal. I'm just saying, look, let's form an order of operations to this sort of thing.
We are going to do an episode eventually on conspiracy theories, probably 10. This may become a conspiracy theory channel just based on the...
Be great for views.
What would you call it? Pre-production conversation we've had. But I didn't catch any of that. I mean, I had friends joking about it. And everybody in my little circle, I don't know, I don't remember how many people, 40, 50, 60, were... they'd seen atmospheric convergence, which are basically you see further over the horizon than you can normally. There are cases where the cloud base can kind of be a mirror, and you see some strangeness there. I don't. That's what my grandmother explained.
Yeah, that's how I understand it.
Yeah,
it's we're definitely discussing it in layman's terms, but
that's some witchcraft trying to understand all that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I have some pretty basic knowledge of all that, and I'm not going to be able to get any more detailed than that. But I'm looking at it going, this is beautiful. So I'm shooting frame after frame after frame, man, just as fast as I can go. And the news guys, I will say, man, there were a couple of them. there's these two guys in the newsroom, like on their iPhones, looking up stuff, trying to figure it out, what it is. And they were called the McDonald Observatory. And I thought, it's cloudy. Those guys are all drunk. That was my first thought, right? I studied at McDonald Observatory for a while.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking if it's
what
cloudy,
everybody on staff does out there. If it's a cloudy night, everybody just gets drunk and shuts everything down.
Those guys are in the lodge pounding shiners, man. That's, But no, and what I don't know about it was how far this happened, like how widespread, because I heard Stanton. I didn't hear Big Spring.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear Lamesa. So I don't know how far away it was. And then somebody finally said light pillars, and I looked it up, and I'm like, okay, that's what we're seeing.
Okay.
And I think if we were let me think, lower in elevation, there's some. If you just Google light pillars, there's some beautiful pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know who's going to do the post production on this. If you do it, if I do it,
no, I'll do it.
Yeah, we'll put
I'll put all that stuff up there. Yeah.
And grab some better ones. Remind me, I may have it. This one guy did one. Like I said, it was fantastic. But it was cool. And here's the thing about stuff like that. That is still it's explicable. It's all physics, but it's still amazing.
Yeah, and it grabs and captures captures your imagination, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Dude,
so if people who really are not, like you and I spend a lot of time in the mode of lifelong learning, trying to understand astronomy and understand, the liberal arts and sciences in general, and so we automatically go for a rational answer. And it just amazed me watching that story, how many people didn't. And it just called back to that time when we could see the Northern Lights down here, which does not happen very often. And the Northern Lights, when they get as far down as Texas, it's usually in the wintertime. It's usually really cold. And they always look red. The only thing left that makes its way down here is the low frequency light. So the sky basically was glowing red when that happened. And so everybody was just convinced it was the second coming.
Well, I've got some family in Louisiana, and I remember we were talking about UFOs. When I was a kid, man, I read every UFO book in every school library. I was fascinated with UFOs. And my relative, or two of them together, and they said, well, I don't believe in that crap. I never did, but we saw a UFO. Mm-hmm. And they said,
don't get me started on UFOs.
We'll get there, dude. I'm going to make you talk about that. But they said we were driving down the road, and they told me where, and it was someplace like the old timers say, is as dark as 3 foot up a cow's ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they said everything turned blue for a few seconds. It went away. So later I get into astronomy, and I knew what it was, but I'd never seen it until I was a patrolman, sheriff's office, and it was like a cold night on like a Tuesday. It's like so cold, even the drunks aren't out fighting or anything. It had a couple of hidey holes way out south, like near a highway, where I could get somewhere if I needed to. Mm-hmm. But I'd go out and do my reports and look at the stars and listen to the coyotes. So I've got my laptop going, and just blew my night vision, and I'm typing away, and everything turned blue for a couple of seconds, right? Well, knowing what I know now, that's a meteorite.
Mm-hmm.
Close and big. And they come in, they heat, and generally, pow, they bust apart. And so I sat there, and I went, oh, well, go back to what I was doing on such and such date, and I observed blah, blah, blah. And I thought, okay. And the radio was dead quiet, and I thought everybody had to see this. So I got on, and I got on a back channel. I go, did anybody else see that? And it was back in the day. We had unencrypted stuff. It was just blasting over the airwaves. And there was a trooper way the hell out. And he goes, thank God. I thought I was going crazy. So, yeah, they saw a meteor. I get it.
Yeah.
But can you imagine being, some primitive caveman.
Right.
And suddenly you're looking down at all the souls of your dead relatives judging you or whatever it is. That would just,
Oh, yeah.
It looked like, it reminded me of the poltergeist.
Yeah.
When they're coming, how they streaked them, the ghosts coming downstairs. That's what it looked like. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It going back to the atmospheric thing and all the weirdness. That is not at all in like the Marfa Lights.
I think you're right. In fact, I was going to bring that up. A buddy of ours, George Cross, who also has a YouTube channel, he recently did a video that I think his wife edited together.
Yeah.
Of them going down and to Alpine and Marfa and seeing the Marfa Lights. And I made a comment on that video that one of my goals, hopefully this year or whenever I get down there again, is I'm going to get clean, good footage or stills of the Marfa Lights, because there's so few of them, and I want to have some of my own for analysis as much as for entertainment. And I think you're right. I think that the reason those lights show up down there in Marfa, the Marfa Mystery Lights, for those of you who may not be familiar with it, just Google it, and there you'll have a million returns.
And the video is all going to be disappointing.
Yeah, the video is all disappointing. You'll see a few that are kind of halfway captured, but you've got to see it for yourself. And I think that has to do with some sort of inversion refraction. It's an atmospheric anomaly that.
Have you read the study I'm about to throw on you?
I don't know.
Okay, I was with another band. In a prior relationship, Tim. I played bass for another person.
Before you played in the Tim Kreitz band?
We went through there and we pulled in the Marfa Lights. So I'm like the sober guy driving all these drunk musicians in the van, pulling the trailer full of shit. You know how it is. Somebody has to do that.
Somebody's got to do it.
It's the bass player. And no shit, I saw the Marfa Lights.
Mm-hmm.
They're beautiful and they're weird. And they're orbs way off in the distance. And I drove away thinking that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Marfa's just a cool place in general. And if we got time, we'll get into that later. But I'd always heard about it as a kid. And here's what they say when you grow up in West Texas. The Marfa Lights are these mysterious lights that appear across the desert. They're orbs. And everybody agrees they see them on the horizon. And then they do everything from abducting people to making car batteries die and flying right over your head and all the crazy shit. But one thing they say is they're documented by early ranchers and Native Americans and all this craziness. And so one day I sat in front of the computer and I thought, I'm probably about to kill my soul when I do this. But I looked it up and I found a study where they were, I don't want to call it debunked, but they were explained and duplicated. That was the important part. And it is, in fact, according to the study, headlights on a highway.
Yeah.
But there is still some miraculous weirdness to make them look that way.
Yeah.
You're talking, I am a guy who has spent his life at night staring at headlights.
Right.
Okay. I've seen it.
And if you've ever seen the Marfa Lights, you know that it's hard to draw sort of an inverse or proportional relationship, however you want to look at it, between what you're seeing in the sky, these weird looking objects, and it being caused by the reflection or refraction of headlights on a nearby highway.
Right. It's refracted all to hell and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. But nobody can prove where anybody got the stories of the Native Americans. Somebody down there, a librarian, I can't remember the story. I've got all the links saved. The whole story about the ranchers seeing it and all that crap, nobody can come up with.
It has become the stuff of urban legend.
Right. And then what killed it for me is there was a bomber base there.
Right south of it. Like
you're there.
If you're at the Marfa Mystery Lights viewing center and you walk across the fence, you're basically on the grounds of the old
You are looking
bomber
across
base.
it, and I can't remember how many people live there, but it was a ton of people. And look it up.
World War II bomber base, by the way.
Yeah, do the Marfa Lights viewing center and then zoom out, and you'll see the old runways. It didn't exist then.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in the newspapers. There's no celebrate the Marfa Lights because the highway wasn't there yet.
Right.
So the highway popped up, but it is still, to me, it's still magnificent because a lot of things had to go right to make that happen.
Right.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
Love it.
That's the amazing thing about it for me. Just from a scientific if you will, standpoint.
Yeah, it's
Just
so cool.
how that happens is fascinating just in and of itself.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be anything paranormal or supernatural or whatever. Just the fact that it happens the way it happens is interesting enough for me.
Dude, think about all the people that have been in this room, in the Vann cave, and all the places they've been around the world, and nobody's seen anything like that.
Right. It is 100% unique
Yeah.
as I know it.
And this is before Marfa was the hipster capital of the universe.
Yeah, which it is now.
It's like the guitar player we had, Brett. We go through there. Brett Whistler. He's such a cool dude. And Brett goes, he's looking out the windows. We're driving into town trying to find the gig, and he goes, "Dude, this place is like a bunch of hippies. We're going from New York to California," and they were like, "You know what? Let's just get out and be weird here." So it was way before.
That is so true.
Yeah, it was way before it was all strange. But I'm going to shoot off of your story about the newspaper. I remembered in late 70s, early 80s, Mike Barker.
Oh yeah, the
Big 2 News, Mike Barker. Right?
Is he still alive, I wonder?
I haven't seen him. I ran into him at Summer Mummers like 8 years ago.
I used to play, Britt Parker and I used to play in a band that played all over West Texas and Southeast New Mexico called the Atomics back in the 90s.
Yes, I remember that.
And we were a band of some notoriety, and the local news people always would come out and see us, and Mike was one of those guys. If we were playing anywhere near Odessa, Texas, he would come out and see us after his broadcast was over in the evening. He was always such a super cool guy. I always just loved the hell out of that guy.
Ran into him more than once. He did some of the air show stuff and Civil Air Patrol back in the 80s, and then I ran into him in the 90s. He's always super cool. But I can remember back when he had the 70s helmet hair and all that shit. I remember him on the news, like at the end of the news, announcing a UFO sighting.
Oh, I think I remember
Did you
this
see that?
too. Yes.
Oh man, I was horrified. I had no idea what it was, and nothing ever came of that.
Yeah.
But I had a friend, and we're going to close on your deal when we get to it. But I had a buddy, angel of a guy. He's actually in a group of guys that they did paranormal investigation, ghosts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I worked together briefly. I was doing an off-duty side job, and I shot down everything the guy had to say about ghosts and all like that. I told him, I'm not saying it's implausible. I'm not saying I don't believe. I'm saying I haven't seen a ghost, nor has anyone that, and I don't want to say they're dishonest people, but somebody I would believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you said it, it's gospel.
Yeah. People you trust, people you know they're generally rational most of the time.
And
right.
People that that you like, that if you ask them what time it is, they'll lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you like the guy. But anyway.
Yeah. Lie even if the truth sounded better.
During the, this is what they call in radio a callback. During the Midland Lights, the mystery lights, this guy said, "Hey, man." I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. He kind of put me on as a skeptic. So they would say, "Hey, well, we got this going on. What would cause that?" "Oh, dude, this would cause it."
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. The lamp going off and on. How old's that lamp, dude? Those switches will get hot and the contacts will screw up. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, this guy messaged me. He goes, "Hey, man, I know you spend a lot of time looking at the sky. You have an observatory and all that. Have you seen any weird shit?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but the weird shit that I've seen, and I'm near brain fart, Dias.
Mm-hmm.
What am I near? Is it Dias?
Yeah, it's Dias Air Force Base. Yeah, that's where Matt's observatory.
Yeah. My observatory is near Blackwell. I've seen airplanes turn off their nav lights.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them turn on their nav lights.
Yep. I've seen that too.
I've seen in moonlight.
All you see is the vapor trail. I almost said chemtrail.
Right. Well, we'll get to that too. I've seen the trails at night with no lights in front of them. So airplanes running blacked out. I don't know what that's about. I've seen satellites cross through my field of view, which is tiny. I'm taking pictures of a galaxy or something, so I'm leaving the shutter open for minutes.
Right.
and I'll get a streak, and I'll know exactly what time that frame was taken. It's on, you know, I save all that data. Well, I'll go look it up, and it's not in the database. Like there's no element set on it.
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
Yeah.
It's satellite. It's weird. Who knows? Those are the kind of things you see. I have never seen anything where I just go, I don't know what the hell that was.
Mm-hmm.
Not from my observatory. And then I've even seen the donuts on a rope.
What the hell
Have you
is
heard
that?
Donuts on a rope. Google donuts on a rope. It's a big Area 51 thing. It's a vapor trail. It's a contrail.
Uh-huh.
So you know, picture a line of smoke. People on the audio, I'm going to do the best I can, but it's a line of vapor like you see coming out of the back of a jet with rings around it.
Okay. Like
Okay.
blowing smoke rings around
Yeah.
the rope.
And so I've heard all kinds of crap from a newer kind of jet. Some people said a pulse jet. We've had pulse jets since World War II, and they don't do that.
Right.
To a malfunctioning jet engine, to blah blah blah. I have no idea, but
Mhm.
I have seen one here.
Wow.
It was out in the country, way out in the country. One time saw it. And then I met Tim Kreitz.
A man who is plagued by flying saucers.
Flying saucers.
Flying saucer magnet. Or UFO. Let's just call it a UFO
I'm going to
magnet.
call it a UFO magnet because, again, I trust him implicitly.
Well,
dude, we might be douchebags, but we are not liars.
Yeah, and you have I was going to say, you have the added distinction of not only hearing me talk about when I see UFOs, but you've been with me on at least one occasion where we saw UFOs, and you also were like, what in the hell are those?
I was there.
And Britt Parker also
Yep.
has been with me on at least one occasion where we saw UFO.
So I get to tell this story, dude.
Okay.
Because you have to see it from my perspective. Tim and I went to Lubbock, Texas. I bought a new motorcycle, a new to me motorcycle. And Tim took me there. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so Tim takes me to Lubbock to pick up the bike. And I promised to feed him. We stopped in La Mesa at K-Bob's.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
right. Some steakhouse.
Yeah, so we get out and we eat. And we're about to get back in the vehicle, and Tim, you know, this is Tim right here. He's an entrepreneur, self-employed person. He's stuck to that phone more than a DA investigator is.
I'm on the phone a lot. Yeah.
He has to do that. He's clients and all like that.
I got my phone's blinking. I've got messages.
Yeah,
Right now.
so I have to go to the bathroom. I think, hey man, I'm gonna go hit the head before we leave. So Tim sits out front. He goes, yeah, man, I got to do this. And so he's texting, and I go in. I come out, and Tim has a look like a flustered client or something. And I go, what's up? And he goes, dude, I saw another fucking UFO. And knowing Tim, I'm like, really? Already? What is this, Tuesday?
Yeah. And I went, look, they're right there.
Yeah, and he goes, oh, that's right. And he goes, and I can't get the camera to pick it up. And I go, where is this? Right there. And I look up. Sure shit.
Two of them.
Silver,
just floating there.
Yeah, I couldn't make out a shape.
And then suddenly they were gone.
Two guys, 2015 vision, unaided, both pilots.
Mm-hmm.
And there they were. And okay, what was it? Well, I can tell you that is a horribly windy day because we went to Lubbock.
It was very windy.
Yeah.
You had trouble riding that motorcycle back. The wind was so bad.
I don't know if you remember, I pulled over.
Yeah.
Because I thought something was wrong with the motorcycle.
Yeah, and it was just the wind blowing
It was just the
through it.
wind, yeah.
Yeah.
So it pulled up a couple, I don't know, kids' Mylar balloons, but they disappeared.
Yeah. And on
they
a windy,
weren't fluttery.
Yeah, on a windy day like that, they would not have been, depending on their size and altitude, of course, they would not have been as stationary as they were. Just
that
a weird
was the
deal.
weird part. Yeah, they were there and then they weren't. So
anyway, it's just one of those things that's frustrating. But at least I've got witnesses that are with me when I see these things. Britt and I were coming back before you played in our band, and Britt and I were in another band, and we were coming back from a show. I think it was over in West Odessa. We were coming back from a show, and now this is about 10 years ago. We were in Britt's truck, And Britt dropped me off at my house once we got back into town. And as we're getting out, I look up, and there is a glowing red orb slash disc slash. I mean, I don't. It was an oblong red glowing object, and I said, "Hey, come here right now. Look at that." And Britt was like, "What in the hell is that?" I mean, you can just imagine Britt's reaction to that.
Editorial comment, that was a balls-on impression of Britt.
Yeah. So that at that point, all I had, we're in the driveway of my house at 3:00 in the morning after having played till 1 in the morning. We're finally back in town. I'm tired, and all I've got is this Samsung flip phone. This is like 2009.
Yeah.
But I managed, believe it or not, with that little phone to get a pretty clean picture of it. And it's still on Facebook to this day. If you go back in my photographs to like 10 years ago, there's a clean picture.
You're doing
of
post. Put it on here.
Okay, I'll go back and dig it up, and I'll put it up for people who are
We're
watching
37
on
minutes in.
on the video
yeah.
side. So it's stationary. It moves to the right and is stationary. It moves back across its original position and to the left and is stationary for a while, and then suddenly shoots into the cosmos at incredible speeds and is gone.
See, and until that point, yeah. So,
and I'm like, okay, I got a witness. So, and my wife will tell you, the first time I ever saw. Okay, I'm getting weird on this, and I know we need to wrap this up.
No, it's all right. That's all right, dude. We're good. Roll.
First time I ever remember seeing one, I was with my mom, and my mom chased it. Me and my brother were in the car. My brother was asleep. We were coming back from I don't know where, but we were out by the airport when we saw it. We thought it was an airplane at first, but it was acting very, very weird. And so my mom, as we're getting closer and closer to Midland, starts trying to chase it, and it ends up hovering over a water tower on the west side of town. And as we approach it, it does the exact same thing I just described, and it is gone.
See,
my mom told people that story for years after she saw it, and people thought she was nuts. I stopped telling UFO stories. And
yeah.
But I have to wonder, man, why am I always seeing these things? Is it because I'm more vigilant about looking at the sky? Are they up there more frequently than we think, but very few of us pay attention to the sky, and I'm just programmed to do that because I've been into things like astronomy and that sort of thing for so long? What is it? Why am I the guy?
I have no idea, Tim. I really don't. I
Okay,
think some of us that's just our lot in life.
Let's wrap this one up. This one got weird.
Well, hang on. Give me a couple. I'm gonna make you feel a little better.
Okay.
But,
okay.
The thing is, I have no idea, and I believe you,
Mm-hmm.
and I have no explanation,
Mhm.
which is a UFO.
Yeah, I'm not saying these are alien craft or whatever. I'm saying it was a strangely behaving object that I cannot identify.
Well, we may turn this episode into long form, but I'll tell you, I had a call when I was a street cop one day,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy said, dispatch calls and says, "Hey, this dude says something fell through the roof of his house out of an airplane,"
Mm-hmm.
and he's pissed off that nobody's taking him seriously, like he'd already called the airport. All that shit. And I thought, well, what's this cat smoking? Right. So I go out to his house.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful sunny day. And it's this little house out in the country. And they're building a new. Have I ever told you the story? Have you ever heard this?
I don't think so.
So they're building a new section of this house. So like they're putting on a den. They're expanding the house by like a third.
They're doing an addition, as
Right.
it were.
So they were building an addition. And the guy's son was helping, mom, dad, and a kid, and the kid's a young adult. And they were sitting down eating a sandwich. They got up to go back to work, and something crashed through the house, through the roof, into the floor, smashed on the floor, and was laying on the ground. And I go look at it. It's a chunk of concrete.
Wow.
About like that, and that big around. And I looked at it, and the guy said, we're by the airport. We're not far from MAF.
Okay.
Midland International.
Midland International now. Yeah.
Air and spaceport and
where there's never been a space flight.
Nails
Anyway, go ahead.
and land and
Mhm.
yeah. Anyway, and I looked at it and I thought there's no reason an airplane would have a chunk of concrete on it. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked on one end of it and there's a freshly busted 4x4 post. sticking out of the end of it, a couple inches of a busted 4x4 post. And I said, let's go outside. And so we go outside, and the guy looks around, and he says, where's my carport?
Oh,
Beautiful sunny day, no rain. It was not windy. I'm going to wrap this up. A microburst or a whirlwind or something had hit the guy's carport, which was 4x4 posts set in concrete, wood frame with a tin sheet metal roof, and all that shit went over the house. So we found it on the other side of the house. Well, in that process,
except for the one big piece,
one chunk of footing busted loose and went through the house. And I mean, the kid, I don't think I expressed this well, but the son got up when they were done eating their sandwiches to go back to work, and the shit fell through the roof right where he was sitting.
Oh my gosh.
And they were hyped up in adrenaline. These weren't idiots. They were just
anybody would be hyped up.
It's like 1 minute I'm hanging sheetrock, the next minute I'm shot at by a cannon or aliens or some shit. So there was that. I did see some weirdness in the skies in Odessa once when I was a kid. I was with an aerospace engineer and a helicopter pilot at the time. I cannot make this shit up. I was 5. They said they didn't know what it was. I think they were jacking with me. So here we are, 40 years plus later. I still have no idea what the hell it was.
Wow.
And there are hoaxers out there. There was a hoaxer in Odessa.
Sure, yeah.
With the weather balloon and a motorcycle. I have no idea.
Yeah,
so.
Those are called. They actually are called UFOs, and they make them with candles and balsa wood sticks and, in dry cleaning bags, and it basically floats across town. But it looks really weird because it's a bunch of birthday candles on balsa wood sticks inside of an heat inflated. You're making a little hot air balloon is what you're doing with a clear dry cleaning bag. And
there was a word that the Phoenix Triangle was road flares. Road flares and balloons that were launched in
yeah.
But and like we talked about in last episode and now, stories get crazy. Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know. But anyway, I think you're right. I think we stick a fork in this one. This is the UFO episode. We're not turning into coast to coast, but
we may do some more conspiracy theories, though. That's fun.
We're going to do a lot of conspiracy theories because I have a ton of shit to say about that. I have been a direct victim of Alex Jones.
Wow.
Yep. I have been interviewed by CNN, and they did a better job than Alex Jones. So there's I got a lot to say about that. So,
okay. Well, that's another group of excellent subjects for another day.
I'm going to pick for that one. Anyway, guys. If you're still hanging on after this debacle, thanks for watching The Van Cave. Subscribe. We're on YouTube. Facebook, The Van Cave. You can, everything's linked through there. thevancave.com will take you to the audio only feed. And I think that's it. If you want to email us and you're not on any of that stuff, it's thevancave@gmail.com. And this is probably like, my brother and a couple of cousins watching, so you guys can just come over and tell me. If you want to sit here, we got space for another mic, and any suggestions, join in. And my buddy Tim Kreitz again, thanks, and cheers. Oh, man.
Yeah, you're almost
I drank that one slow. Salute. Cheers, folks. Thank you.
Cheers. See ya.